The rain had been falling since dawn, drumming softly against the windows of Elaine Morris's small suburban home. She stood in the kitchen, clutching a chipped mug of coffee and staring at her daughter's laptop, lying open on the counter. The screen flickered, froze, then went black again. "Mom, it's been doing that all week." 16-year-old Lily sighed. "I can't even finish my essay. Maybe it just hates me." Elaine smiled tiredly. "It's just tired like us. I'll take it to the repair shop after school." At 42, Elaine was the picture of quiet resilience, a woman who had survived heartbreak and loss, but still carried grace in her eyes. Since her husband's passing 3 years ago, she had poured herself into teaching literature at the local high school and raising Lily with as much love as she could give. That afternoon, the gray sky matched her mood as she drove downtown. She parked outside a small computer repair shop wedged between a laundromat and a bookstore. Inside, the air smelled faintly of solder and old paper. A young man in glasses looked up from behind the counter. "Afternoon, ma'am. What seems to be the problem?" "It's my daughter's laptop," Elaine said, setting it down carefully. "It freezes up a lot, and the camera light keeps blinking, even when no one's using it." The technician frowned. "That's strange. Could be a virus, but I'll take a look. Come back in a few hours." Elaine nodded, feeling a small sense of relief. The shop felt safe, quiet, almost comforting. She left the laptop behind and ran a few errands, thinking about dinner, school lessons, and the 1,000 little details that made up her life. When she returned later that evening, the same technician, his name tag read Zach, stood behind the counter, his face pale. He didn't greet her with the same easy politeness. Instead, he looked uneasy, glancing at the laptop as if it were something dangerous. "Mrs. Morris," he began slowly, "you might want to sit down." Elaine's stomach tightened. "Is it that bad?" Zach hesitated. "Not bad exactly, but..." He lowered his voice. "You need to cancel your credit cards, and you should change your locks tonight." The world seemed to tilt for a moment. "What are you saying?" she asked, her heart racing. Zach turned the laptop toward her. On the screen was a folder she didn't recognize, full of documents, screenshots, and files with her name on them. "This isn't a virus," he said quietly. "Someone's been spying on you, and from what I can see, they know everything." Elaine felt her breath leave her body. The hum of the shop faded into silence as she stared at the screen, at her own life laid bare before her. Who would do something like this, and why? Elaine drove home with trembling hands, Zach's words echoing in her mind like a siren. "Cancel your cards. Change your locks." What could that possibly mean? Who would want to spy on her? A simple teacher. A mother just trying to make ends meet. When she reached home, Lily was curled up on the couch, headphones on, humming softly to music. Elaine forced a smile. "Hey, honey, laptop's fixed, I think. I'll set it up later, okay?" "Thanks, Mom," Lily said brightly, unaware of the storm rising behind her mother's calm tone. After dinner, when Lily had gone to bed, Elaine sat at the dining table with the laptop. The house was quiet except for the steady hum of the refrigerator and the ticking clock above her head. She opened the screen, and it glowed faintly like a secret waiting to be told. She started exploring. The folder Zach had shown her was still there, hidden beneath layers of normal files, essays, photos, music. But inside it was something chilling. Dozens of screenshots of her online bank accounts, scanned images of her ID, and personal emails she hadn't read in months. Her throat tightened. "This can't be real," she whispered. Then she found a small text document labeled Notes, TXT. When she opened it, her heart sank. She never checks her statements. I can get more before she notices. Once the house deed is in hand, it's done. Elaine froze. Her hands went numb, the air thick and heavy. Someone had been watching her, stealing from her, planning something far worse. She tried to think rationally. Maybe it was a hacker, maybe her data was leaked. But when she scrolled to the end of the document, she saw an email address listed as a recovery contact. It was one she recognized instantly. C. Brooks, finance@gmail.com. Her pulse stopped. C. Brooks, her sister, Carla Brooks. Elaine stared at the screen, unblinking. Carla, the same sister who helped her after her husband's death, who babysat Lily, who had installed that homework app for her niece a few months ago. It couldn't be true, but the proof was right there in front of her, cruel and undeniable. She called softly down the hall, "Lily." Her daughter's sleepy voice answered, "Yeah, Mom." "That homework app Aunt Carla installed, do you still use it?" "And not really. It kept slowing down my computer." "Why?" Elaine swallowed hard. "No reason, sweetheart. Go back to sleep." But as she sat in the glow of the laptop, tears filled her eyes. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, and every one of them cut deep. Her own sister had betrayed her. And the worst part, she had used Lily, her innocent, trusting daughter, to do it. Elaine didn't sleep that night. She sat in the faint blue light of the screen, scrolling through every file, every trace of deceit. The deeper she went, the more her world unraveled. Carla had set everything up months ago. The homework app she'd installed for Lily wasn't for schoolwork at all. It was spyware, giving her remote access to the laptop's camera, files, and even saved passwords. Through it, Carla had watched Elaine's every move, her emails to the bank, her teaching schedules, even her private messages with the insurance company that still handled her late husband's life policy, every single secret of her life, stolen by her own blood. By dawn, Elaine's hands were shaking. She couldn't cry anymore. The betrayal cut too deep. Memories of childhood flooded back, Carla stealing her diary, blaming her for things she didn't do, always smiling sweetly when their mother looked. But this wasn't childish jealousy. This was deliberate, cold theft, and it threatened everything Elaine had built. At 7 a.m., she called the bank. Her voice was calm, controlled, but her heart pounded as she spoke. "I need to freeze all my accounts immediately. There's been fraudulent activity." Next came the locksmith. By noon, new locks gleamed on every door. Lily noticed the change, but Elaine only said softly, "It's for safety, sweetheart." That evening, she sat in her car outside Carla's sleek townhouse, watching lights flicker behind the curtains. Carla had always lived well, too well, Elaine realized now. The expensive handbags, the new car, the consulting, job no one ever quite understood. Her phone buzzed. A message from Carla lit the screen. "Hey sis, haven't heard from you today. Everything okay with Lily's laptop?" Read. Elaine stared at the heart emoji until her hands curled into fists. How dare she pretend innocence? How dare she smile while stealing everything? Her first instinct was to storm in, confront her, scream. But then she remembered Zach's worried face. "Be careful who you trust." So Elaine took a deep breath and forced herself to think. If Carla was smart enough to hack her, she'd be ready to cover her tracks. But Elaine wasn't the timid sister anymore. She was a mother protecting her child. She called Zach. "I need your help again," she said. "I want to trace everything back to her, every file, every transfer, every login." Zach hesitated. "Mrs. Morris, that's illegal without her consent." Elaine's tone was steel. "She stole from me. She spied on my daughter. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for proof." Silence. "Then, all right, come by tomorrow." Elaine ended the call and looked at her reflection in the rear-view mirror. The woman staring back wasn't scared anymore. The pain was still there, yes, deep and raw, but beneath it burned something new. Resolve, she whispered to herself. "You took everything from me, Carla. Now I'll take back what's mine." And for the first time in days she smiled. Not out of joy, but out of quiet, certain vengeance. The next morning the air felt different, colder, sharper, almost electric. Elaine dressed deliberately, dark jeans, a simple gray coat, her hair pulled back neatly. She didn't feel like a victim anymore. She felt like a storm that had been waiting too long to break. At the repair shop, Zach was already working. The moment Elaine walked in, he nodded solemnly. I found the IP addresses, the accounts she accessed, and the transfers, he said. It's all tied to your sister, even her work computer. I'm sorry. Elaine exhaled slowly. Don't be sorry, Zach. You just gave me back my truth. She took the flash drive he handed her, heavy with evidence, and drove straight to the police station. The officer at the counter listened carefully as she explained, step by step, what had happened, from the spyware to the stolen funds. She showed them the emails, the screenshots, the transfers. When she said her sister's name, the officer raised an eyebrow. Carla Brooks, we've had similar complaints. You may have just helped us crack a larger fraud case. Elaine's heart pounded, part relief, part sorrow. It was over, or maybe it was just beginning. Later that evening, the police arrived at Carla's townhouse. Elaine didn't go inside, but she watched from across the street as her sister was led out in handcuffs. Their eyes met for a fleeting, heavy second. Carla's face was pale, shocked, but still managed a whisper through clenched teeth. You set me up? Elaine shook her head slowly. No, Carla. You set yourself up the moment you used my daughter to steal from me. Tears welled in Carla's eyes, but Elaine felt none left of her own. The bond that once tied them, laughter, shared memories, childhood secrets, had shattered long before this night. All that remained was truth and consequence. In the days that followed, the news spread fast. Local woman uncovers cyber theft by her own sister. Teachers, neighbors, even parents from Lily's school whispered her name with a mix of pity and admiration. But Elaine didn't care for the attention. Her only concern was Lily, who deserved a mother strong enough to protect her. One evening, as the two sat together on the porch watching the sunset, Lily finally asked, Mom, why did Aunt Carla get arrested? Elaine took her daughter's hand gently. Because sometimes, sweetheart, people we love choose the wrong path. And when they do, we have to be brave enough to stop them, not out of hate, but out of love for what's right. Lily nodded, resting her head on her mother's shoulder. You're really brave, Mom. Elaine smiled faintly. No, honey, I just stopped being afraid. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the air felt peaceful again, clean, honest, still. The storm had passed. The house was safe, the locks were new, and though her heart carried scars, Elaine knew something precious had been restored, her power. For the first time in years, she felt free,